Hello, everyone. This is Gaylon McDowell, and this is the Meta Behind Relationships. First of all, it's good to be back. I'm enjoying talking about spiritual and metaphysical principles, mental techniques, consciousness transformation in the context of relationships. On this 5S for Love platform, we are trying to make sure that we cover all the bases. And this is one of the things that we want to make sure that you understand. So today I'm going to be talking about you are the cause and the effect. And I'm sure many of you all have heard cause and effect before in many different ways, growing up in school and things of that nature. And I want to relate it basically to the mind and how the mind is cause, and you also get the effect of the mind. So you're experiencing yourself as the cause and you're experiencing yourself as the effect. So to help me with this conversation, I'm going to invite again the founder and CEO of the 5S for Love, Christine Burkett. Christine, are you there?
Hey, Gaylon.
Hey there. How you doing?
I'm excited about today. I think, with all the things, and people don't know, Gaylon sends me a lot of links and things, and I read and I watch and I read and I watch. I read books. I picked up one of the books that you referred to me like 2 years ago, and I'm rereading it because cause and effect is so important about how your life plays out. So I just want to thank you. I'm really hoping that not only me, but the viewers get something out of this where they can kind of move forward and understand how they can really reshape their lives. Because this is like really a huge, because to me, I'm looking for a shift. I think some of the things that I do could be a cause and effect situation, and I need to put a pause on it. So you guys know, sticky note and pen. Although I'm here with, I always take notes. So Gaylon, I'm ready to get started.
All right.
Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay,
Let's get to it.
so for me, I always ask the question, what do you mean when you say a person is the cause of their relationship? Like, what does that mean?
Well, that means that, first of all, when it comes to your relationship, you have to take 100% responsibility for being in it and choosing it. Many times people don't like to admit that even when they're complaining, that complaint is their choice. They didn't just magically appear or get teleported into a relationship. Whatever the situations and circumstances are, red flags, yellow flags, etc., not paying attention to your intuition or just the very conscious choices and decisions you made to be in something, the first thing is you have to own it. You're the cause.
Right.
All right. The second way in which you're the cause is that you've heard me say this many times before, that every individual is a mental field that is radiating and attracting according to their dominant ways of being, their thoughts, their feelings, their beliefs. Therefore, in the context of cause, it can be 300 people in a room. Why are you vibrationally matching with someone out of 300 options? And yet the two of you all get together. The two of you all hit it off. The two of you all are drawn to each other. It's a vibrational match. And the vibrational match doesn't always mean that we have a whole bunch of things in common. The vibrational match can mean that we have things that complement each other. All right. So when I'm talking to students or clients, I try to get across to them that you have to first recognize that you are a mental field. You are radiating something. What are you radiating? Dominant, many times unconscious thoughts, feelings, and beliefs
Okay.
that bring unto you the people, places, and circumstances that correspond and align with where you are in consciousness. The problem is most people don't know where they are in consciousness. So if I would like to give the listeners a term, and the term is psychogenesis. I didn't create it. It was
Yes.
created by an author named Jack Canfield, who not Jack Canfield, excuse me, Jack Addington. Jack
Mm-hmm.
Canfield was a famous self-help speaker. Jack Addington was a science of mind
Mm-hmm.
minister. And Jack Canfield coined the term psychogenesis. And what it meant was everything begins in the mind. Now, my relationship began in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
My relationship lives in my mind. And how I interact in my relationship is dependent on what's in my mind. I am my own cause.
Wow. Okay, so a couple things. So when you say vibrational energy, and that's one of the things I think I'm so big on, because what you said, I can be in a space, and like you said, there's so many people in that space, but I'm automatically drawn, to certain people, or certain people are drawn to me. So can you explain that a little bit more? Because I think people don't understand the correlation of that vibrational energy and cause and effect as it relates to what's in their mind. Because like you said, the relationship is where?
In the
Where does it
mind.
start? In your
In the mind.
mind. And there's
Yes.
a direct correlation.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so
So,
can you explain the vibrational energy?
well, yes. So when I say people are a mental field,
Hmm.
it's to get them outside of the dynamic of what their five senses are telling them they are. When you
Okay.
look in the mirror, when you use your own five senses to detect your own physicality, you
Hmm.
will even think at a physical level that you're just a solid being. So let's just start there, and then I'll get into your answer, because I think if I give context, it'll help people understand it better. And I'm in a teaching mood, so I'll break it down a little bit more. If you hold your hand out in front of you, you'll notice that it seems solid,
Yeah.
but to a physicist, it's not solid. Now you're a scientist. I know you went
A
to
chemist
school.
in
You're a
my first
scientist.
life. Yes.
Your first life, you were a scientist. So I'm talking
Yes.
your talk now. You know, and if I'm inaccurate, correct me. To a physicist, your hand isn't solid.
No.
It is at the molecular level. There's molecules bouncing around,
Mhm.
vibrating at a particular level.
Yep.
If you look at it with a stronger microscope, you'll see atoms,
Yes.
many sometimes far apart,
Hmm.
space in between them, bouncing around as vibrational energy. You get a
Hmm.
stronger microscope, and then that's subatomic, and then you can see the protons, neutrons, and electrons. All right, and you're like, wow, man,
Hmm.
it's a nucleus, and you see in the, all the stuff we see on the cartoons, and in the science books. And if you get a stronger microscope, then you get into quarks. You get a stronger microscope, and now you're dealing with what quantum physicists called called the field. Some call it the God particle. Some
Yes.
they use different. They have legitimate names, but they have a nickname. They call it the God particle. Now,
Yes.
why am I going this deep into physics? Because at the physical level, you're not even who you think you are.
Hmm.
All right. At the physical level, you're 60 trillion cells. You're a colony of 60 trillion cells.
Yes.
At the molecular level, we don't even know how many, we can't even count. At the atomic level, we can't even count. At the
Hmm.
subatomic level, we can't even count. So even though you think you're a physical being, your aggregation or a colony
Yep.
of uh, of cells that a central intelligence and power or force is keeping together to present itself as the physical you. Now, that's my physicist conversation for the day. Now, if that's true for you at the physical level,
Hmm.
What is true about you at the mental and spiritual levels? So when I tell people that they're a mental field at the
Mhm.
mental level, that is saying that thought is mental energy. Thought is
Mental
vibrational.
energy.
Belief is an emotion or energies at their plane of existence. So energetically, we project like an aura going out from you, extending from you, just to give
Right.
people a visual to match up with that which corresponds to us, even if it's unconscious. Because many times we'll say it's one thing, which I'm going to talk about later, but we really want something else. So vibrationally, you go into a room, and what you don't know that's happening is your field is accepting and rejecting people, places, and things energetically. That's why you can walk into a place and the vibe is off,
Yeah.
and you're like, I need to leave here. This isn't my vibe. Now we say things like that without ever investigating. What does that mean?
What does that mean?
What does that mean? I walked into places and knew automatically I don't belong here, and I leave
Right.
because energetically it wasn't a match. Now here's
Right.
the thing. That person that you might not like anymore, that you used to date or used to be married to, at one point you were an energetic match.
That's like an aha moment.
Hmm?
So either you've grown either to the right or the left, but regardless, you guys used to vibrate at the same frequency.
To complement each other. That doesn't mean that you are always like a, people say like attracts like. Like attracts
Right.
like does not necessarily mean we like the same things. It just
Right.
means they complement each other.
Okay, I like this. So that kind of leads into the next question I have for you, because this is really interesting. What do you mean when you say a person wins the effect of their relationship?
Um wins. So if I'm the cause,
Okay.
then the cause is always linked to an effect.
Okay.
So the outcome is consistent with the cause. Therefore, I'm always winning the game of cause and effect because the effect is always consistent with the
Cause and
cause.
effect is always what?
The effect is always consistent with the
The
cause.
effect is always consistent with the cause. So
Yes.
explain that, like, like in Christine terms, not in meta, but in
Okay.
Christine right
All right. Christine terms. Watermelons don't look like watermelon seeds, but we're very clear that watermelons come from watermelon seeds. And the
Yes, that's a
effect does
great
not always
point.
have to outwardly look like the cause for it to be true.
Okay, so that makes a lot of sense. So when you're looking at a relationship, it's kind of pinpointing you're looking at the effect, but what was the cause for that to occur?
Right. Right.
And so can you go, because I know you do a lot of relationship counseling where people are looking at this is the outcome, which is the effect, but they're never looking at the cause. And that
Mhm.
cause may not mimic what they're expecting to see.
Right. Yeah. And
Okay.
then some people have delusional causes. And, and it's no other way for me to say that after years of counseling people, 2 decades worth.
Great.
I can say that with some level of confidence without feeling as though I'm insulting people when I say this. And for those who have listened, if you are part of one of the couples I counseled or a person, I'm not talking about you. Let's be clear. I've
That's the
talked to a lot of
disclaimer. So
people,
there we
so
go.
don't make that assumption because sometimes people he's talking about us or
Oh no,
talking
you've
about
been
me.
counseling for over 30 years.
Yeah, well, not
Yeah.
30, but 20 plus. Yeah.
Yeah. Long time.
So when I start talking about effects, what I just try to do is do a few things. Effects are results. All right. And what I try to help people understand is this is the result you're getting based upon the thoughts, feelings, and beliefs you're holding. Now, for the health of your relationship or the health of you, of yourself to be able to go forward to have a healthy relationship if you're not in one right now. Well, these beliefs that show up as these outcomes can give you what you say you want. Because this these beliefs create actions, create behavior, create communication, whether energetically, physically, or audibly, that produce particular outcomes. And if you, if you're, I tell you, if you're talking to me about this, it's already something that's a concern for you.
Exactly.
All right. So let's investigate why you believe particular things. Because a person can look at an effect and think that they're right, even though they're not getting good results.
Exactly.
Because their evaluation is based upon being right instead of being effective.
Instead of being effective. All right, so folks, when we get back, we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we get back, we're going to talk about relationship blind spots. I'm telling you, I need to know because my goal this year is to get a contract, and everybody knows that. Like everybody knows, because I'm putting it out there. I would like to be married, so I need to look at relationship blind spots. We'll be right back after this commercial break.
Taking the chance, stuck in my head, not gonna leave it at that. Taking the lead, feeling your heat, just wanna give you my best. I don't even know your name, but you got me, cause you're all to die. We don't know what happens next, but you got me, cause I'm next in line. You make it look so easy, making me feel so dreamy. Not the one who pays for drinks, but you got me, cause you're all to die. Got me locked in now. Go ahead and take a shot. Do you really want me? Maybe you're just...
Welcome back to the Meta Behind Relationships. We're having a conversation about you're the cause and the effect. And Christine has a lot of questions for me, so I want to make sure we maximize this time and let Christine get to her questions.
Okay, so I have to know about the blind spot. I think a lot of times, whether you're entering into a relationship or you've been in a relationship, sometimes you guys are overlooking that there's a blind spot. And I know for me, that may be a big issue. So if you can help define that and what things we need to do in order to avoid that.
Sure. So many people have heard this before because it's been written in many books and taught by many teachers and philosophers through the years. This isn't original to Gaylon McDowell, but I just want to make sure that I bring this conversation to the table. In your awareness, there's what you know, what you know that you don't know, and what you don't know that you don't know. So let's deal with it. There's what I know. For instance, let me use an example. What I know that I know. I know I can teach metaphysics. I've been effective doing it for 25, 26, however amount of years, 20. This is my 27th year teaching metaphysics. Actually, wow, 27 years. Wow, that just paused.
A long time.
27 years. I know how to teach it effectively, help people get results that they desire. I have an expertise in new thought, metaphysics. That's what I do. All right. Now, I know that I don't know how to fly a plane. All right. I'm very clear that I have no business being in a cockpit of a plane trying to do anything. It is not a skill set. All right. So I know that I know that I don't know how to do it.
Right.
What creates the blind spot is when I don't know that I don't know. All right. So I might think, for instance, I'm just using as an example, I might think that I could pick up a basketball at my stage of life and go down to the United Center on the west side of Chicago,
Right.
and run up and down the court with the Chicago Bulls players that are young enough to be my son, a son of mine, if I had a son. Yeah. And my delusion can make me believe that I can do that, but I don't know that I don't know.
Right.
All right. Now, in the context of relationships, what is it that you don't know that's interfering with your relationship? What is it that you think you're competent in that you're really not? What is it that you think you're good at that you're really not? For instance, because I know you were going to ask me, give me an example. You might think you're a good judge of character.
Yes, but I'm not.
But you don't know that you don't know that you're not. You don't know that your emotion overrides your logic and your intuition.
Mm-hmm.
What you don't know is that you have a lot of subconscious triggers based upon either your childhood or previous relationships. What you don't know is that you're a poor communicator. What you don't know is you really haven't figured out how you land in the context of a relationship. What you don't know is, what does a man mean to you in a relationship? Having a man. What does being with a woman mean to you in a relationship? It's easy to say, I just want to be with somebody. Okay.
Right.
What does that mean? It's a blind spot. And the blind spot disrupts things, because the problem with the blind spot is you will function as if you're aware of everything and you're not, and then you can get frustrated because you're getting effects based upon causes that you're not even aware of. And that's the danger of it. I'm not even aware of why I'm messing up this thing, or I'm not even aware why I'm attracted to this chump or this loser. And I know that could be hard terms, but chumps and losers is not a male or female.
No,
it just means that if the lady's consistently attracting Pookie, it's a reason.
Right. It's a reason. And I think what you're saying is so valid, because I find that a lot of my female and male friends are consistently dating the same type of person, getting the same outcome. And they're not understanding it's a cause and effect. And the other thing is, when I have conversations with them, that I explain to them in the nicest way I can. Like in one particular friend, she's very emotional. And I try to, help her, like, if you're this emotional with me, if you've shared time with a man, you're even more emotional. So maybe you need to kind of reflect and look at that to see how you can dial it down a little bit, because it's a little bit extreme. And then a male friend of mine, he's kind of dismissive of women, but I know why, because, earlier on, his mom and his dad divorced, and it wasn't great. And he ended up living with his father. So when he communicates with women, he's very dismissive of them and not really open and receptive. They're more of an object instead of a person they want to love and adore or spend time with or cultivate. It's a different kind of relationship. So, and again, like you said, they don't know that they don't know. It's like, because it's part of their normal habit. So that kind of leads into my next question, because, I'm all about my questions, is how do you change the cause to get a different effect? So if a person's doing something, they don't know they're doing it. First, how do you recognize, or do you go reflect on your previous relationships and outcomes? I don't know. Like, how does that work?
Yeah, a couple of things, obviously. Besides hosting podcasts and teaching classes and courses, obviously, I work in ministry, so I'm always a big believer in getting help. I'm a big believer in that. Reach out to somebody. Sometimes your blind spot can be so strong that normal means of pulling you back, sometimes it just it's a Herculean effort, not impossible, just Herculean. So and being married to a therapist, so she's always gonna say, tell people to get therapy, but uh
I have to start running her commercials.
yeah, she needs some commercials on here. I have to tell her
Yeah,
that.
she needs some commercials.
So obviously I'm a big believer in getting help.
Yeah.
So let me just put that right out there. People have, as long as obviously I believe in competent help.
Yeah.
And competent help is not, girlfriend and buddy all the time. Unless you have somebody that's really, really wise that you feel as though you can trust that they'll guide you in the right action. Normally going to get somebody that's objective helps better. But on a one-on-one basis, all right, outside of the Herculean effort, a few things. One, just ask yourself, okay, why does this keep showing up? Like, and stop. Because I'm a big believer that, if you start asking yourself introspective questions, you'll get answers. Why does this keep showing up like this? Why the same type of situation and circumstance? And don't let it go. Keep asking your mind the same question. All right. Just like you ask yourself, why is it that I can never be happy in whatever? It'll tell you, just like that. So just keep asking yourself that question. And then you start drilling down. Why do I believe this? Like you brought us some friends and the male who had the situation with his parents. Why do I believe this? Because that belief might be based on a perception of a child that's driving an adult. All right. So you start asking yourself, why do I believe this? Is it true? Right. Okay. Is this my opinion? Is this my story? Can I separate, fact from my story? One of the things that I often tell people, and people don't like to hear this, and I even say it to family sometimes, your story is not the truth.
I love that.
So it doesn't go over well. But I'm me, so I'm going to say your story is not the truth. Your story is the meaning you gave a particular experience.
Right.
All right. Now, how do you change it? Besides those questions, I'm a big believer in what Napoleon Hill, who wrote Think and Grow Rich, he would call it auto-suggestion.
Yes, he does.
So in Think and Grow Rich, which I'm a big fan of, I've taught the book numerous times.
Great book.
Live classes. Even in church settings, because I love the book that much.
It's a great book.
And I'm a big fan of, just on a side note, I actually talked to just popped in my head. Last week I actually talked to Dr. Dennis Kimbrough, who wrote the Black version of
Really?
I got caught up with him,
Oh, also, I think just telling me as a fan, and I think everyone needs to read that book at the beginning of every year.
Yeah, so
that's one of my favorite books.
Yeah, so he wrote the Think and Grow Rich, a Black choice.
Yes.
But going back to which is a masterpiece in
yeah.
He's rewriting it, by the way.
Is he?
Yeah.
Tell him his #1 fan. Shout out.
I'll probably be following up with him soon, so I will let him.
I would love for him to come on here with you, and I'll just produce. You guys can just talk.
He doesn't talk about relationships, but we can figure out how to talk about money and relationships.
No, because money and relationships is very valid. That's what the show is on Saturday. So yeah, I would love him to come. But go ahead, because I know you're getting to your point. I need the point because I'm taking my notes.
All right. So auto-suggestion. And what he talks about it is you want to impress upon your subconscious mind the ideas that you desire to express.
Okay.
So what that means is you have to hammer it in. We have many times very crystallized, hard beliefs that don't go away easily. So showing up over and over again with those affirmations, with those declarations, with those proclamations, with those, what you're doing is you're reframing your mind.
Yes.
This is why, people teach things like visualization and mindfulness and things of that. These are all techniques to shift awareness. So what I would just say is because I'm a big believer in immersion. Change up what you're reading, change up what you're listening to. Get a regimen, a system of this is what I'm going to do consistently around particular subjects of my life. Create the vision board, do the different things. What all of these things are methods. Listen to this podcast, obviously, are ways in which you are challenging the old beliefs. Because you're challenged when you change the belief, you're changing the cause. All right.
That is the note right there. And I'm going to tell you guys, Gaylon, what he says, whether it's on air or offline, if we're just chatting, if it's sending stuff to me in social media or texting me things, one of the things that I shifted was listening to meditation at night when I go to sleep. So I'm playing that instead of what I normally was doing, which was watching Murder, She Wrote. Okay. And I would fall asleep to Murder, She Wrote. So now I fall asleep to my meditation, the guided meditation. But one of the things is that in Unity, we do our I am statements. And so the I am statements really help me zoom in on the things that I really want to focus on for this year, because I'm repetitively saying them. And it's like an affirmation because I'm reading them. I am. And it's saying that this is what you are. So then in my mind, I'm conditioning myself for a different outcome. Right. And I think that what people don't understand is when you say things that you're saying, it's not just one time. You've got to be consistently practicing this in order for it to be effective. Because to change your mindset is a big shift. It's not a little shift. And it's an ongoing shift. Like you said, what did you say? It's a big lift. It's a heavy lift. And people are not looking at that. So I think people need to understand when he asks you to do something. And by the way, we do have a Gaylon challenge at the end of today's episode that you guys are going to have to post all over social media, what he's asking you to do, and it'll be part of your homework. But the thing is, Gaylon, so can you explain how what you say and what you want, how that's totally different? Like, and I get that people say one thing and then they're doing something totally different than what they're saying, which lends to what you were saying about the affirmations and things that people need to do to see that change.
Well, I think, human beings are complex.
Okay. So
let's just start there. We're complex. Okay. We're complex because many times we say we want a thing and we do the exact opposite, without getting, super religious. This is one of the things that the Apostle Paul was known for. He wrote, the things I don't want to do, I do. And the things I do want to do, those things I don't do. Now, there's many ways in which that's translated, but that's the gist of it. And it's to me, when I think about this, I often think about the human nature of saying I want a thing and doing the exact opposite. Saying I want to be treated well, but I allow myself to be mistreated. Saying that I'm a stand for honesty and integrity, but I allow people to manipulate and lie to me, even when I know that they're manipulators and liars. People who say that they want a particular type of experience, but they have different type of people around them. People that say they want peace, joy, and love, but they're always creating chaos in their space. So what we have to evaluate in the context of relationship is, I say that I want this particular type of relationship, and I'm not going to say what somebody says they want or don't want, as long as it's healthy and nonviolent and not disruptive. Whatever floats your boat. Right. Do you? But the question comes into play is when you say you want that, and you're willing to accept everything other than that. So then I go back to you're the cause and the effect. That relationship is an effect. What you're experiencing is an effect. What is the cause that makes you verbally say, this is what I say I want, but this is what you're willing to accept? What you're willing to accept. Is there a self-esteem issue? Is there a belief issue? Is there something? So it's something we can drill down on. And let's take a quick commercial, and when we come back, we can drill down on it a little bit.
That sounds great, folks. We'll be right back at this quick commercial break. And be sure when you get back, have your sticky notes in your notepad.
Get it that I'm never going back. Get it that I'm never going back. I get to it first, I got you mad. I guess that when I get to it last. Get it that I'm never going back. Get it that I'm never going back. Going up, going up, going up, going up, going up, going up. Get it that I'm never going up, going up.
Yeah, what's up with it? Do it cause I love it and I stuck with it. We ain't with the subbing in the cut with it. Please none of the talks, I heard enough of it. Like, what you gonna do? Where you at? Who you with? You ain't really about this, don't talk about it. Really on the move, on the map, never slip. Keep your hands to your lips, don't talk about it. Real eyes, realize all the time. Stand on it, if we said it, we don't walk around it. Loose lips, sink ships, red cup, blue strips, new phone, who this? No, we don't allow it. Really on go, I don't know what's an off day. Now we on road, came from smoking in the hallway. Now we got shows, boys feeling like Broadway. Always look both ways.
Welcome back to the Matter Behind Relationships. Christine, I was dealing with the question about people saying they want one thing and experiencing something else. And I wanted to add one point, or a couple of points. The first one is, am I willing to be the type of person that can create this experience that I say I desire?
Like that.
Some people at their present level of awareness just don't have the bandwidth.
Right.
That don't mean they don't have the potentiality.
Right.
They just don't have the bandwidth. And sometimes you just have to know that that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
And let people be where they have to be and need to be without you trying to drag them along for the ride.
Yes.
Because the need for you to drag them along for the ride is cause and effect. What is it about you that makes you feel as though that you have to be somebody else's savior and drag them against their will? All right.
Yep.
So are you the type of person that has the bandwidth to create what you say you desire? Because some people say they want a thing, but they're their beliefs are too ingrained. They're unwilling to change. They're unwilling to release. They're unwilling to forgive. They're unwilling to transform.
Right.
They expect people just to accept them. This is who I am. Accept me who I am. God loves me, or we do the Tupac, only God can judge me, and all of that type of stuff, which is ridiculous statements because nobody has to accept anything about you.
Exactly.
God loves you for who you are.
Right.
I get to choose to be with you.
It's a choice.
Right. Now, some people just don't have the bandwidth, and I think that that's one of the toughest spaces to be. We understand this sometimes with children. We're like, okay, this child, any sensible parent will see a child spill something. Instead of, I'm pulling this belt off and about to beat you with a chair, recognizes at that age, that child is still developing.
It could be a conversation.
Etc. We don't realize it's the same thing with adults. Just because a person looks good to you, smells good to you, feels good to you, does not mean that they have the mental and emotional bandwidth to be a healthy partner. And if you choose to drive through all the red lights, all right, to be with a person, then that tells you that what you want matters to you more than what's right for you.
Wow. You know what you just said, I don't even people understand how big it is. If you choose to continue just to drive through all the red lights, when you know for sure this is not where you should be, the outcome, don't be surprised. It's like it's not a surprise. You've driven through the red lights. And I'm going to say, for me, that has been an issue in the past where I'm basically saying, oh, I get the feeling, no, this is probably not the best situation for me, but I do that, but maybe over time. No, it only just it manifests over time. It grows. Whatever it is not working. It doesn't get better. And you
Yeah.
need to understand that. So you just need to kind of stop. And a lot of times, it's worth the discussion. I'm not going to say it's not worth the discussion, but have the discussion, but understand this. At 50, at 51, and I'll be 52 this year, which is blowing my mind. I feel like I'm aging very quickly, but I feel like a minute ago I was 30. That the person I am today is who I am. But for me to change or shift into what he thinks I could be is going to be a hard shift for me at this point because I'm just Christine, right? Are there some things that I could work on? 100%. 100%. But realistically, if it's some big major things, dude, we got just shake and bake. We just got to roll with it kind of thing. But I think as women and not men, we tend to think we can fix stuff. I'm not going to say because we got men out there who think they can fix stuff. But mostly women. And I wonder, why is that? Why do women feel like we can massage it and make it into what we want? Why do we have is it because we're nurturers?
Well, I think that, obviously I would leave a more definite answer to women to answer that question.
Right.
But I just think that when people are dealing with folks, yeah, I'm trying to figure out a cycle down way to say what I'm about to say, because obviously these podcasts go everywhere and it's easy to be misunderstood and misinterpreted.
Right.
When you're dealing with relationships,
Mm-hmm.
let me speak from a male perspective, and you can give me
Okay.
your female perspective on this.
Yep.
I think that's a better context.
Okay.
How men get dates? How do men, just talking in a heterosexual context,
Right.
how do men get women? Men are trained very early by not just men, by women very early. How you're perceived by your peers, your success, whether that's athletics, money, career. I'm gonna use a term that's peacocking, meaning how do I make myself stand out?
Yes.
Okay, peacock. It's the male peacocks that have the colorful feathers, not the female.
Yes.
It's how they attract women. Female peacocks, rather. Excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
We're taught those things very early. All right. So to get the woman or the type of women you desire, what makes you stand out? The majority of men don't date. The majority of, if you look at the statistics, you've done, think about the last 3 years you've done just on dating research.
Yeah.
It's women that have, people talking about the women having out of wedlock children.
Yes.
It's by the same guys. The same guy got 5 baby mamas.
Exactly.
But that's also 5 guys who are not dating at all.
Exactly.
Okay. So because it's a confidence, there's a perception that you have to present yourself in a particular way to be considered a potential partner. All right. Now, how do you feel as though women have been trained to get men?
Oh, women have been trained the total opposite. I mean, we have that peacock syndrome, but that's not what's really cultivated. What's cultivated is that you're a homemaker. Well, let me say it's a transition. So I think initially that legacy, that concept is still in men's mind that women are homemakers and, we cook, we clean, we're your support. But over the years, after the women's live moment, we've transitioned to we've got to go out, make that money, go get those degrees. We're moving and shaking. So it's like now it's like a menagerie of old school with new school thinking. And it's now we've bundled it into women empowerment, which I think that could be communicated in so many different ways. So for me, and I can only use myself as an example, I'm very old school. Although people see me as new school kind of thing, when I come home, my job is to be the mother, to be the wife, to be the nurturer. I believe in keeping a nice, clean home. I'm not big on the cooking, but I'll support my husband who cooks and I'll do the prep work. But my thing is, I'm not good in that area, but every other area. I'm very particular about making sure that my husband or my son or my children have everything that they need, right? But at the same time, when I walk out that door, I'm a CEO and I'm about my business. So I think, for us, women think that degrees and money is what's making us attractive because we're looking at what we're attracted to in men. Men don't look at that. Men are looking at us physically still as, is she physically appealing? Can she cook? Can she clean? Does she present well? And I'm saying to us, it's like a conflict a little bit. And then also bundled in that is your sensuality and your sexuality. So women really get kind of twisted because now a lot of women feel like, well, I'm making money. I've got multiple degrees. I present well. I look good. Why don't I have a man? What's missing?
Right. So what I'm saying is, based upon what you're saying, is that women are not using the same leverage points to get into a relationship. It's still appearance.
Yep.
It's still feminine wiles. I'm gonna use that as an overall term of what you explained. It's still is this somebody I can have on my arm? Sensuality, sexuality.
Yeah.
It's various things. I'm not saying that the other things don't matter. Let me be clear. The reason why I'm saying that is this. If potentially ladies, maybe not all, but some, maybe many, maybe the majority have been taught that they use sensuality to manipulate a man's behavior, then it's easy to believe that you can change someone.
Exactly.
Whereas men leverage power, money, I'm using the term fame, even if a person's not famous, but in your own small pond, you can be a big fish.
Yeah.
You can use those different things for leverage. What makes him stand out? So a guy's not looking at the lady saying, "Let me change her. I can do something with this." Well, I've heard women say
they do say that.
I can do something with him. I can do something with that. Men aren't thinking I can do something with that. Men are thinking I want that.
Exactly. Totally two different things.
Okay. So it's easy to get caught into manipulate. And then if you're a younger girl and you're hearing older women in your family talk about how they know how to use their voice tone, their touch, their whatever to get the guy to get with what they want, then it's learned. Now, I'm not making a judgment on any of it.
No.
What I'm trying to say as a metaphysical teacher is that everything has a cause and an effect, and the cause and effect are linked. And if you think you use those ways to manipulate, and I'm not using manipulate always in a bad way, because sometimes it's just guiding people the way to hopefully to a good space. Let me use a different word: influence. To manipulate lands differently.
Yes.
To influence the relationship, you're going to bump into somebody whose influence is stronger than you, or they have something that you don't have that makes you reevaluate and change how you move because you want to be connected to them. This is why, women pursue athletes so strongly.
Yes.
And they're willing to morph
into whatever
the athlete needs.
Yes.
Because they have, most athletes are normally physically attractive, meaning they have athletic builds. they have the money, they have the stardom, they
Yes.
have influence. They check the boxes.
They check the
Okay.
boxes.
Now, here's the challenge. They might not check the box of integrity. They might not check the box of honesty. They might not check the box of loyalty. They might not check the box of many things that a person says they want. But when the chips are on the table,
yep,
it's a different conversation.
It's a whole different conversation. And folks, when we get back, we're going to talk about how someone can teach you something about yourself. And that's something you can't overlook, because people show up different in your life, which brings out something different in you. We'll be right back after these commercial breaks.
Broken future, all the plans you made in your heart grew just to die.
Hi, welcome back to the Matter Behind Relationships. So, Christine, you have another question for me.
I do. And like everyone who's watching, I want to be clear that this is a pre-recorded session, and any messages or comments, please be sure to leave them. Gaylon does look at them, just to let you know, and we will respond. And you guys have a challenge coming up, so Gaylon will be looking at those all week. So my question to you, Gaylon, is, we meet all these different people, and a person does teach you something about yourself. But again, it's like you don't know what you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, are you really capturing what it is that you're supposed to be getting about yourself? Because that's going to then change the next relationship and the cause and effect, right?
Right.
Okay.
Some people, in years of counseling, one of the things that I've discovered is many people, for instance, say, I'm not a jealous person. And they display exceptionally strong jealous behavior. I don't care about that.
Right.
And they're all over. I mean, everything. Who you talking to? Where you going? Who texting you? Who whatever, etc. That's jealous behavior.
It is.
But because people want to have a belief that my self-esteem can handle whatever comes down the pike, they don't want to be honest enough to know that they fear a sense of either loss or inadequacy.
Right.
Okay. And some people even have a fear of, I know I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm not willing to change, but I don't want the person to leave me.
Uh-huh.
So when you're in a relationship, one of the things that a relationship does is because of its level of intimacy, is it helps you get a clearer picture about yourself. You might not think you're emotional until you get into that relationship. You might not think that you're unforgiving until you get into that relationship. You might think that you're not cold until you get into that relationship. You might think that you're a selfless person and get in a relationship and find out you're very selfish.
Yes.
It gives you an opportunity. Relationships give you an opportunity to learn from yourself. You learn from everybody.
Uh-huh.
But the connection, the intimacy of a committed relationship or marriage allows you to expose yourself to vulnerabilities that are not
Yeah.
necessarily in other relationships, not even in a parent-child relationship. All right.
Yes.
Just, sharing, your innermost thoughts, feelings, and beliefs with another individual, sharing
Right.
your past hurts with another individual, sharing your body with an individual. And I know that is being devalued now and desensitized,
Yeah.
but being with somebody sexually is still your mental field, always attracting.
Yes.
I mean, projecting and attracting. I forgot what I'm saying. Radiating and attracting. So
Yes.
even that situation is a form of vulnerability and intimacy.
Yes.
Therefore, you have to stop and ask yourself, what am I really learning about myself in this
Mhm.
relationship? What am I learning about what I really like and what I don't like? What am I learning about what matters to me versus what I say matters to me? What am I
Right.
willing to tolerate? What am I willing to compromise on? What am I
Mhm.
willing to not compromise about? It gives you an opportunity to learn in ways that you can't learn in anything else in the human experience. So, a relationship in and of itself
Mhm.
is one of the greatest, if not the greatest, soul teaching tool we have available to us.
And I think people need to really take advantage of that. I think the way that I show up as my son's mom is different than the way I show up when I'm in a relationship. And I think people need to look at that. And one very important thing that you stated was you don't know who you really are until you experience that vulnerability with someone. So I say that because I say I'm not jealous, but the love that I have for my son, I would jump in front of a car to protect him. And I didn't know I had that in me until I had a child. There was nobody I was jumping in front of a car for,
Mhm.
right?
Right.
But with him, and my son is 6'4" and a linebacker, he should be jumping in front of a car for me, but I'm still mama. So to
Mhm.
me, my baby, I gotta protect him. When he calls me, he has a cold or I go right into like he's just a toddler, right?
Mhm.
But he's not, but he's still my baby. So there's
Mhm.
different. But the thing is, I realized that showed me that I would be good in a relationship with a man because of the way I loved him. And I said, you know what? There's space for me to love somebody differently, but I can do it. Like I wasn't really sure until I had a kid, which is weird, right? It took me having a kid to realize that I could be in a relationship with a person. But I will say this, since I had my son, I'm looking for that on a mature relationship level that I feel that I would be jealous if someone spoke to this man that I'm in love with. But see, I haven't felt that. So to me, I keep saying I'm not a jealous person, but again, I haven't experienced that same type of energy frequency with a man. You get what
Yeah.
I'm saying? So I
Yeah.
can't say that.
Well, I would just potential teachable moment.
Yeah.
Uh, what I would say is the context of a parent-child relationship, even with its own vulnerabilities, and I understand that is, I have a 23-year-old daughter,
We
20-year-old
just
stepdaughter.
love. We just love.
Um, so I get it.
Yeah.
Is there's still even no matter how old your child is, there's still a measure of control that goes along with being a parent. And even if they don't live with you, you don't pay their bills and whatever,
Yeah.
it's still a measure of I'm mom or I'm daddy.
Yes.
When we take that same type of emotional energy and we transition it into a potential partner, uh, the same level of vulnerability isn't there.
It's not.
And so what ends up happening is, um, can I feel this vulnerable if I can't control it?
I know.
So so so
That's
what so so
sweet.
um analytical
Mhm.
people tend to want that control. Like, okay, I have to analyze this, and this is the best outcome, and this is the way to
Yes.
do it. Let me put this person into my spreadsheet,
Mhm.
and these are the
Yep.
outcomes. And then we discover that life isn't
It's not.
simple like that.
It's
Okay,
not.
and it creates frustration because
Yes.
it's easy just to say, if this person could just get on my game plan, go along with everything, will be fine. But they weren't put here to be in your game plan. They were put here to discover their game plan and discover how they can match and create new game plans with potential partners.
Correct.
And so what I will say is this, and I think, obviously I see this more in the Black community because I'm a member of the community,
right.
African American community, is a strong imbalance with mothers and sons.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you have that. Let me be clear.
Oh, no, you're right. I see it too.
I see a strong imbalance. Matter of fact, I cringe.
Yes.
When I hear women say things like, he's the man of the house, or he's the whatever, and all that stuff.
Where's that coming from?
But it creates a different perception.
It does.
And I was exceptionally close to my mom, and my parents divorced when I was very young.
But there's a line. There's a line.
But not only did she have a line, and I had my own relationship with my father, but I also had a really hard line for myself.
Exactly.
Okay, Mom, like we had some serious conversations, which I've told you offline. I'm not going to get on here now, where it had to be, even with the world's greatest mom. Okay, Mom, this is a line, and I'm going to hold this line.
Exactly.
Because what had to happen out of that process was, as I told her when I became an adult, young adult, you go do you. You've been dating this guy. You were waiting on me. You go get married. You ain't got to worry about funding me, paying. I never took a dime from my mom. I turned like 18, because for me, it was important
to be a man.
Right. And for her to pursue her own happiness.
Exactly.
And without the consideration of, how do I navigate this son?
Exactly.
Now, some people would say, well, that's a mature decision for an 18, 19-year-old. Yes, it was. But at the same time, that was how I was raised to be responsible.
You were cultivated in that culture.
In a culture that allowed me to be able to make decisions that some other people didn't make. So what I will say is this. Ladies, of course, love your sons.
Yep.
And don't substitute parenthood for what your soul needs at an intimate level.
Oh, thank you for saying that. I say that so many times because I do have a really good relationship with my son, but at the same time, he knows I'm the mama. There's no equals. You're not the man of the house. You never were. You're my child. I love you. You can talk to me about anything. But he did exactly what you did. When he went off and he says, Mom, I'm going to college, he was like, I got me. I'm a man. If I don't have it, I'll call you, but it's got to be an emergency. I'm not going to call you. And I love that about him, that he's so responsible, and he's 20. And even now, he won't take any money from me, and I love that. But at the same time, I'm still mama bear. So I didn't see him wearing a coat, and I went and bought him 2 coats. And he was just like, Mom, I got coats. It's just that I don't really need to wear them. And I was just like, but that's the thing we do to as parents. So I'm going to say, ladies, again, I raised my child as a single mom. I wasn't trying to play mom and dad. I just tried to play the best parent I could. And that my son understood that there was a line, and he still understands that. So you got to understand, if he's the man of the house, when you meet a man, how can that man then become man of the house if you already got one? And you've conditioned him to think that he has a voice in that space. So you got to understand how to divide that. And that's what Gaylon is trying to say. It's a different kind of love. It's a different kind of relationship. And it should be. So guys, before we go to commercial break and he gives us our homework, I want to share with you guys what Gaylon wants you to do is Gaylon's Cause and Effect Challenge. Post your outcomes or comments on the 5S to Love social media sites. We are on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and TikTok. We come back, he's going to give you your homework, and that's going to be Gaylon's Cause and Effect Challenge. He's going to ask you to do something for an entire week, and he wants you to post it because he wants to hear from you. So guys, we'll be right back after this commercial break, and Gaylon's going to give you your homework so you know what to do. Get your notepads out. This is serious business.
Tapped in, lately my life had a fat.
I need it all. Do you want it though?
Where do I begin? I see the hate, they don't wanna see me win. Bank deposits, I got more coming in. Top down, throw the money in the wind. I don't want it all. Heard he scammer, had to switch up the accounts. Moving paper, gotta call in my account. It's all in, I can have it coming out. Been through the struggle, I can see another drought.
Yeah, it's not a purse, it's a merch. 6 figures, what's a gold? Now it's 9 or a hearse. Put it work. Used to pull up, not swerve. No time for the snakes, trying to put them in the dirt. That's word. I gotta get it, it's in my DNA. You only see the highlights, don't know what it takes. Last year stressing, got no sleep. Now I'm right between the courts, I don't know it bleeds.
I see the hate, they don't wanna see me win. Bank deposits, I got more coming in. Top down, throw the money in the wind. I don't want it all. Heard he scammer, had to switch up the accounts. Moving paper, gotta call in my account. It's all in, I can have it.
All right. So I have just a quick exercise for you all. A couple of weeks ago, I posted a webinar or a seminar, online seminar for called Visualize for Success on YouTube. Visualize for Success. And what I did was I went through the mental techniques of how do you visualize, how to use your power of imagination to manifest desires. And I also talked about how to create vision boards, or an alternative to a vision board, which is a treasure map, which is it's more of a spiritualized version of a vision board. And I also talked about the visioning process. How do you call forth that higher inspiration? How do you get connected to your intuition? How do you get your spiritual guidance? We put all of this in about an hour and 25 minutes. It's a lot of information, but in the context of the relationships, I want you to watch the video a few times. Then I want you to pull out of it the strategies you can use to start either improving your relationships or your relationship. I'm a singular relationship. I realize people have relationships out there. Again, float your boat as long as you're in integrity, or to seek to get the relationship you desire, because you might need to visualize or vision board or make a treasure map for what it is that you desire. I want you to then put those on the different networks, the Instagram, the YouTube page, all of these different ways in which 5S for Love shows up. You can contact Christine directly through the 5S for Love website, however you need, or DM me. I'm on Instagram. I have a Facebook page that's public called Truth Transforms with Reverend Gaylon McDowell, which is connected to my other podcast. There's ways to get in contact with me. I'm on Twitter. There's ways to get in contact with me. The key is this. I want to be able to see publicly, if it's okay, how you're using the techniques so other people can see the value in it. If it's something that's private that you don't want to share, I understand you can reach out to Christine or me, and we'll make sure that we reply properly. But if it's something you can publicly state, yes, this works for me. Yes, I agree with this. Yes, I did it. Yes, I watched it. This is what I got out of it. I would greatly appreciate it. So that's your homework for the week. So next week, we're going to rock and roll. We're going to get back into some more subjects about how to work with your own awareness, your own mind, your own consciousness to create the relationships you desire. God bless.